What's up, guys? This is the Win or Lose Sports Show. We're back with the NFL preview for 2023-24. So this week we're going to preview the NFC East. Most of you know, who follow me, know that I'm a Cowboys fan. So this is going to be interesting, to say the least. So we're going to preview the NFC East. Who will take the NFC East? How will they do in the NFC conference as far as who makes it to the conference championship? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Cowboys. We're going to talk about the Eagles. The Giants, of course, Saquon Barkley did not sign his extension before the deadline. I think the deadline was the 17th of July. The Washington Commanders has a new owner. So we're going to talk about all that and more on the Win or Lose Sports Show.
You're now listening to the Win or Lose Sports Show, talking sports, hip-hop to pop culture. Available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are heard. It's kickoff time.
So welcome. This is season 3, if you are counting seasons, of the Win or Lose Sports Show. We're going to do things a little different this year. So more of Zoom. We're not in studio right now. So more of Zoom, more of, we're going to have guests on the show. But I'm going to do a lot of previews for the NBA, for the NFL. We're going to talk about some teams, some players who I believe are going to make a good impact next year in the NFL and in the NBA, because there are some trades that were done, some free agency signings that were done that we haven't talked about because we haven't done an episode in a long time. So this is just my take on what's going on in the NBA and the NFL and our guests when they come on. So firstly, I want to talk about the Eagles. Eagles obviously had a good season last year, finished 14-3. They also went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Will they have another great year next year or this year in 23? Will they make it back to the Super Bowl? We'll see. One thing that did change with the Eagles is they lost the offensive coordinator, and they lost two key defensive players. But what I can say, the core of the offense is still there. The core of the defense is still there. There were some changes. Where will they finish? I think they still finished number 1 in the NFC East. Even though I'm a Cowboys fan, got an LA hat right now, but that's a Dodgers hat. But even though I'm a Cowboys fan, I think the Eagles will finish number 1 in the NFC East. Number 2 has got to be Dallas. And the reason why it's Dallas is because they improved on defense by adding Gilmore, a second number 1 cornerback. They didn't lose anybody on defense. So we improved where we were weak last year. We improved in the secondary where we got beat. We got beat every time somebody threw the Brown side. It was a bad play for us. So with Gilmore on that side now, I think that improves the defense 100%. So already a number 1 defense and adding a number 1 cornerback is a big move. We didn't make a lot of big moves in the draft. We did get a defensive tackle, which we needed. Other than that, I don't think we did anything significant to our defense, but adding Gilmore alongside Diggs for our cornerbacks, I think that gives us an edge even more than what we had last year. Number 3 for the NFC East, with Barkley not signing. I don't know how he's holding out for training camp right now, but not signing and not playing early in the season, I think that can affect the Giants. So New York, I believe they still could get the 3 spot in the NFC East, despite not having Barkley, because they still have some backs there in New York, but they're not Barkley quality backs. Washington Commanders, still number 4. They finished 8-8 last year in the division. I don't think they made any changes to the roster that can make them better than the Giants or the Cowboys, especially the Giants, because even though the Giants don't have Barkley right now, I think they still will have him later on in the season or whatever happens with that situation. But the Commanders, I don't think they made any changes offensively or defensively that can exceed them past the Giants, Cowboys, or Eagles. So with that being said, that's the NFC East. That is what I think will happen during the season next year, this coming year. Eagles number 1, Dallas number 2, Giants number 3, and Commanders number 4. And that's how they finished last year. I think the Cowboys will improve as far as record-wise in the NFC East because of the interceptions that Dak threw last year. And that caused us a few games, especially the game against Jacksonville, a game that we should have won. It was a game against Green Bay, same situation happened. We could have won that game. But because of late turnovers and interceptions, we lost the game. Those are games that we could have won. We could have finished. We could have, should have, could have, would have on any football team or any football season. But I think Dallas has the potential to win big games that they lost last year and should have won. But because of Dak's injury, thumb injury does have a big effect on your throwing, gripping the ball, and he lost a lot of grips and threw 15 interceptions last year. 5 more than what he's ever thrown in any previous season. So I think that'll improve next year. Jalen Hurts is always improving for Philadelphia. So I think Philly will do, they finished 14-3 last year. I think they'll do the same. We'll see what happens between Philly and Cowboys. But I'm hoping that the Cowboys will finish first or second in the division and make it to the NFC Championship. Hopefully win that game and go on to win the Super Bowl. So we could meet the Eagles in the NFC Championship. Hopefully not. We already played them twice a year, and to play them 3 times like we did last year, it's difficult to beat somebody 3 times. So that's the NFC or the NFC East NFL preview. So if you don't already, follow us on all social media at winorloseshow.com. It's our website. The social media is at winorlose, at Win or Lose Show on all socials. So we're going to talk about the NBA and where everybody's headed. So like I said, if you follow me, you know I'm a Cowboys fan, and you know I'm a Celtics fan. Celtics lost two intense key players from our roster from last year. So Marcus Smart, of course, was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies, and Grant Williams went to the Houston Rockets. I think those are 2 key players as far as intensity and leadership, as far as emotional leaders for the Celtics, we lost those guys. So to get Porzingis is a bonus offensively and could be a bonus defensively. He's a great defensive player. He's obviously a great offensive player. But to lose the intensity of Marcus Smart, there's nothing that we brought in that replaced that. We signed a couple more players, but nothing that gives us that leadership in the locker room. So that means that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum has to step up. That's something going to be seen, going to be watched big time for this whole season. Who steps up in the locker room? Who steps up on the floor? Who brings that intensity, emotional intensity to the floor? It's not Al Horford. That's not the way he leads, right? It's not Jason Tatum, because that's not the way he leads in previous seasons. He's more of a, I'll show you what I can do on the floor, instead of vocally showing, telling what to do on the floor. So Marcus Smart brought that intensity. Grant Williams brought the emotion to the game, not necessarily leadership, but the emotion to the game as intensity. Like, I'm gonna step up and show my guys I got their back. So that's what we're missing for the Celtics. But one player who I was hoping that we will sign, but I don't think it's going to happen, or trade for, is Dame Lillard. So Dame Lillard is still up in the air. No one knows where he's going. He wants to get traded to, he said, either Brooklyn or Miami. Nothing has happened yet. It's up in limbo. Dame Lillard would have been a great addition to Boston. Of course, anybody would want Dame Lillard, but I think the continuity of the game between Lillard, Brown, and Tatum would enhance our gameplay. I know Dame needs the ball in his hand. Sometimes Brown needs the ball in his hand. Tatum needs the ball in his hand to work. But I believe, with the right coaching, it can happen. Coaching, on the other hand, Joe Mazzulla, still up in the air. I don't agree with him being offered that position and that contract right away. But we'll see what happens. That's a different story. So, other thing that happened in free agency is Chris Paul traded from Phoenix to Washington, from Washington to Golden State. I believe that's how it went. But right now he's in Golden State. Does it enhance their team? I don't think so. I think it gives Steph Curry off the ball. But does that help them? Or do you bring Chris Paul off the bench? Who knows? But I think it doesn't help them too much as far as where they'll be seated in the Western Conference, especially now with Phoenix getting Bradley Beal, which I think that puts Phoenix to the number one spot, even over Denver. Because offensively, when you got Booker, Beal, and Durant, who can score the ball anywhere on the floor, and you also have Ayton, who I think is not playing up to his potential, who could potentially be one of the best big men in the league. He's just not. I don't think he's letting it happen. There's a lot of times I've seen him where he's not receptive to coaching, whether it be Chris Paul or Monty Williams, who's now in Detroit now. But I think a lot of that has to do with the relationship between the coach and the player. So we'll see what happens this year in Phoenix with the new coach, with Chris Paul not there. So you got rid of the two guys that I think that Ayton had a problem with. And now you still got Book. Now you have Beal, and you still have Durant, who's there, who I think will be a very good influence on Aiden, who's getting a different type of coaching, because we know how Chris Paul is. He's very intense on the floor, very serious. Not that the other guys aren't serious, but their approach might be different from what Chris Paul was giving Aiden. And I think that'll help Aiden, hopefully, because there was a clip that was released earlier this weekend or last week to where Aiden felt like people hated him. No, people don't hate you. People don't like the fact that you're not playing up to your potential, because we know how good you could potentially be. So it's not hate, it's criticism. And I think as a professional, you should be able to take these criticisms and take them and flip them and say, okay, I'll apply that to what I do, or I can ignore it and play to the best of my ability. So I think that's one of the things that that will help Phoenix. If Aiden is the guy that we think he can be, or even 80% of the guy that we think he could be, I believe that Phoenix can make it to the NBA Finals and win, no matter who they play against. Because that firepower with Bill, Durant, and Booker, I don't think anybody can stop that. Now, with that being said, Denver, who lost Brown through free agency, I believe in their structure. I believe in what they did was good enough. I believe Miami was good enough when they were there in the finals, and and Denver beat them. But I don't believe that they're great enough to win back-to-back. I don't believe they're a dynasty type of team. Now, they might win. They won last year, and they might not win next year, and they might win in the next couple years. But to be you have to be a special type of team to win back-to-back or three-peat, like the Chicago Bulls, the 90s Chicago Bulls, the early 2000 Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, who won twice in a row and then won two more. And I don't see that Denver team being that special enough, even with Joker, even with Murray and all the people around them. I don't think they're special enough to win back-to-back championships or dominate the Western Conference to where they're going to the finals year after year after year. Mike Malone's a great coach. Joker is a great player. Jamal Murray is a decent player, good player. They don't have the it like a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Steph Curry. Joker is that guy for the Denver Nuggets to dominate the league and to say we're going to win back-to-back championships and win three in a row. No, I don't think that's the answer for Denver. So I know a lot of people probably won't agree with that, but I just don't see it in Denver, in the character of the team, the makeup of the team. When you're losing key players like Bruce Brown, he's not a spectacular player, but he was a key player. He's one of those guys like I talked about with Marcus Smart. He's one of those guys that adds value to a team. You don't have to be a prolific scorer or the best defensive player, but you add value to the team by doing the dirty work. So you have a Dennis Rodman type guy or a Marcus Smart type guy who can defend, who can rebound, who can get the easy points, who cut to the basket and get the easy points, who can set a screen for somebody else to be open to score. So those are the little key elements that you add to a team to add value. They lost that. How are they going to replace that? Do you replace that? So there's little things like that can not let someone go to a championship for the following year. So that's the NBA free agency. There's more to it. There's more elements, pieces moving around. Still waiting on Dame Lillard. Hopefully, I think that he's going to end up in Miami. Does that make Miami a contender again? I believe so. Do they win the finals? They could. But there's other key factors like who would they trade? Who would they get rid of to get Dame? Because Dame's not a guy who you're going to trade for and get a draft pick and that's it. No, Portland's going to want a couple of draft picks and one of your key players, which I think will be Tyler Hero and maybe somebody else big. It might end up being Bam, but he wants to play with Bam. So that's the thing right there is you have to factor in what's Dame's worth to Miami and to Portland. Like, what do you want to gain from trading him? So I'll dive more into that. Maybe the Dame Lillard situation in the next few weeks. But here's some signings that went on in free agency over the summer. So Mo Bamba, who was playing for the Lakers, signed with the Sixers. I was thinking that they would keep Mo Bamba because they need bigs in LA, especially with the health of Anthony Davis. They need bigs who can stay on the floor. Even though Mo Bamba was hurt the last part of the season, the Celtics signed forward Delano Banton from Toronto. I don't see any other really key signings. Malik Beasley signed with the Bucks, leaving the Lakers, and that's another one. Like, Lakers are losing players I thought they would keep to make them better next year. O'Shea Brissett signs with the Boston Celtics from the Pacers. So Celtics didn't make a lot of moves, especially after that trade, Marcus Smart trade, which was not very smart. I don't think it could end up being smart at the end, but I don't think it's something that we want to praise the Brad Stevens for. It's confusing to see the moves that he's made ever since Udoka left. So signing Coach Mazzulla to an extension, making him permanent head coach from interim head coach, and then trading Smart, not signing Grant Williams. So there's a lot. But we'll see what happens. So this is just a preview of what's going to happen this season in the Win or Lose Sports Show. So please like and subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/Win or Lose. Go to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. at Win or Lose Show. Make sure you visit our website, winandloseshow.com. And we'll be back this season with more NFL preview. We're going to do NFC West next episode, and we might have a guest. So stay tuned for more on the Win or Lose Show.